find the live stream on my phone as well. Check out. Find the live stream on my phone. Okay, there it is. Amazing.
Huh?
Oh, good. We can hear ourselves. It looks like the sound is working, so that's good.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Let me mute the live stream there and come out of that. Find the live stream on my phone. Okay, there it is. Cool. Amazing. Welcome,
Huh?
guys. If you're here live, welcome. Let us know if you can hear us, because we would like to make sure that the sound is good before we dive in. Welcome in. Hey, Samantha. Hey, RP. Hey, Amber Lions. Great to have you guys. Let me know, like, how's the sound for you? Are you able to hear us clearly?
Oh, I'm a moderator. Let's go. I didn't even realize that.
Oh, I love that.
I
Good.
got
Yeah.
Cayman privileges I didn't even knew I
That
had.
was, I think we did that by intention, maybe a year or so ago. Okay, cool. Come on for faces today. Yes, Miss Cameron Crutcher. Everything sounds great. Okay, good. Thank you for confirming. Really appreciate that. Hey, Kayla, I love that we're two of your faves. Okay,
Yeah, are you
awesome.
are you guys
Thank you
blown
for
away by
that.
how stunning she is? Because I am all the time.
Right. Let me come out of that. Come back to Zoom. And we're gonna go ahead and get started here. Let me reposition this. There we go. That's a better angle. Now my microphone can be where it's supposed to be so you can actually hear me correctly. Awesome. Okay, so I'm really excited to be here today. You guys know me as K Moon. This is my first official face reveal on my channel, and shortly here we're going to talk about why that is. I'm joined today by my co-host, Aso Tarot, our surprise guest today. If you're not already following Aso Tarot's channel, I strongly recommend that you do. You can find Aso at ESOTARO at Aso Tarot here on YouTube. She is one of my absolute favorite readers, and she has very quickly become a bestie. We've got a lot of shared things in common, including some hometown pride, as well as some just goofy, kiki, strange, fun, like sense of humor. So,
Yeah, a lot of times
while
I
today's
feel like I'll text
conversation
her
is
and
really
be
going to
and
focus
about sorry.
on, some more serious topics, we together have found the levity in these topics when we hang out, and we're hoping to bring some of that levity to you today. So, Aso, what do you want to say by way of joining us live?
Well, I guess I want to say hi, and I just want to say I was
Oh no, we
just
can't hear you. Wait.
oh
Oh, that's me. Sorry, I had to mute. Go ahead.
okay.
You're good.
I was like, is this mic acting up again? I gotta. Okay. What did I want to say? I wanted to say hi and thank you for having me on your channel. And hello to everyone that is in the chat. Thank you for joining us. And yeah, I would just kind of echo the same things. I feel like we are so similar in so many ways. And I feel like a lot of times I'll text you and then you'll be like the exact same thing. Or like I'll be sending you a voice note and then you text me. Or yeah, and I just love stuff like that. I'm just like, oh, we're on the same wavelength. And then think like when I make assumptions, like if I haven't heard from you for a little bit and I'm like, oh, I bet she's like really stressed out about this thing. And then I'll like, and then I don't know. I just like and enjoy that. And it just, yeah, I love our friendship and I love that I get to be here today.
Oh, amazing. Good. I am, if you're looking for Esoteric or links to where you can find her if this is your first introduction to her. I will link it in the description box after we're done here today. So normally, you guys know that I love to have prepared like a set of slides. I love to have like notes for you guys. But since we're going to be doing some channeled messages here today, I figured we would do this a bit more organically. We would do a bit more focus on having more of a conversation together. So I want you guys to get your questions ready. At the end of our time together, we will open the floor to Q&A about things that we've shared, about the channeled messages. We'll also do some Q&A about, anything we didn't cover that you're really curious about. We want you to walk away from today's conversation feeling a little bit more confident about the crazy that's in the atmosphere right now. We are both very well aware that this has been a wild year. Every year since 2020 has been pushing us to grow, change, evolve, become better versions of who we are. But the gauntlet has been rough to walk through, run through, fall through, crawl through. And it really matters to both of us. And you can hear it in the way that we read. It matters to both of us that you're able to find your way through these times, feeling like you're becoming the best version of yourself, despite the messages from the world trying to tell you that it's too hard to trust yourself and it's even harder to trust the person next door or across the street. So, we're hoping to just give you that little bit of extra comfort and confidence in knowing that you are on track and give you an idea of where things are headed. Okay, so as long as the sound looks good, it does according to people in the chat. We're going to go ahead and dive in with some channeled messages. Do you want to rock first or should I?
Sure. I can I pulled a couple cards before we came on just because I wanted to see like there are things that I could go into, but to just make sure I stay on track in terms of like what the universe, what our guides want us to know. I was like, let me just pull some cards. So the first card that I got was focus. Remain completely focused on exactly what you want. The best is yet to come. Love this lady. She looks so unbothered. We have the golden path, the moon tree, and nothing has gone wrong. And I think that was just very powerful because yes, things are very chaotic, very scary and sad. Um, that being said, though, let me see how this wants to come through. Okay. Whatever is happening in your life, stay focused. Stay focused on what you're building, on what you're creating, and how you're moving forward, because this is really a time of not letting yourself get swept up in oceans that have nothing to do with your priorities and what you got to get done in life. Because let's be real, it's hard enough to get our stuff done as it is. And it's hard enough to stay in our hearts and stay centered when everything is hateful, when it is literally just painful to hear about what's happening to other people, to recognize where we're unable to be more helpful, to recognize our own exhaustion, to recognize the fear and what if, the path that I'm moving towards won't happen for me? Am I selfish for even wanting that? Like, I'm black, like all this stuff is going on and all of it is true. But that being said, the biggest channeled message that I have for you is to do everything in your power to stay in your heart. And that sometimes will require you to take a step back or take a step inward and give yourself permission to cultivate a sense of protection and safety and warmth around what you're creating, because it could be very easy during this time. Like distraction, I think, is the biggest enemy right now towards having more light, compassion, understanding, and kindness in the world. And this is what we really need, especially like if you are here, if you are on Kamo's channel, like you are definitely a soul that is loving, that is spiritually aware, that definitely is on that path of growing and evolving and of service and of kindness. And I really feel like this urge to remind everyone that we're not failing in that pursuit. But it is important that we take a step back when we need it so that we can stay centered while all of this chaos is happening, because it's not going to stop. It's just going to continue. And part of this chaos is around creating big, substantial change. And big, substantial change, that is the theme of what we are all going through, not just us, but the world in general. Like big, substantial change is happening right now. And that change is awkward and scary. And it may not necessarily be change for good, but the changes that are happening are necessary changes for even deeper and realer change. It's like catalyst, like dominoes falling over is like the visual that I'm getting. And there are going to be times where we're going to be looking at it from our human perspective and we're going to be like, oh my God, like, what do we do? This is horrible. And when we might be absolutely right about that, it might be horrible and it might be a terrible thing that we're all experiencing. But rather than trying to figure out what's happening, that's when we need to say, okay, let me take a step back. Let me get centered. Let me pray. Let me look at what I can do in this situation to, number one, not only protect my own nervous system, but number two, to stay centered and focused so that I can help others who need it, so that I can continue moving forward, so that I can have a perspective that doesn't completely derail my progress. I mean, scientifically, it is noted that if you don't have hope, it's a lot harder to change. And I think there are a lot of systems that really, really enjoy us not being hopeful and having a cynical, nihilistic output that things can get better and nothing can change. And let me be clear, it's exhausting as hell to care and to believe that things can change and have hope. That's why taking a step back and going within is so important, because that element of you is going to get drained at times. And it is going to need nourishing and nurturing from you in order to stay strong and healthy. Compassion fatigue is normal. It is something that both Kay and I experience, and that we have to, just for our own well-beings, to be able to be centered and be there for y'all, like we have to go and do that. But I think that not just you guys, like I think you guys especially need to be doing the same, because it's likely that you're energetically sensitive, you're tuned into things, but I think human beings in general need this. And so you guys are way showers. You guys are the ones that will inspire others to recognize that they don't have to stay in a cycle of panic and helplessness and paralysis if they don't want to be, and if they are aware of the tools that can help them. Obviously, things won't be perfect. Things will not be fixed. And who is it? Where is it even our place to do that? I don't know. All I do know is that we all have our paths and we all are doing our best and we all have big hearts and we want to bring more joy and love and kindness and goodness into the world. And in order to do that, that involves you making sure you give it towards yourself when you need it, and also recognizing that you're not a bad person, or that helping or giving or sharing or just being a compassionate person in general is not useless. It's actually really important, because you may not recognize it, but maybe someone else needs to see someone strong enough to stand in their heart when everyone else is standing in hate. And I think that's part of what spiritual leadership is about. And I think that that's kind of what's coming through today, is to say, yeah, things are chaotic and scary and we don't know what's happening and we don't know what's next. That's why we have to stay grounded and stay rooted in the present and stay on our game, so that when our opportunities to create change, especially change that could help and impact others, arises, we're ready and we take it.
Right on. Yeah, I totally concur. That's exactly it. I
And I
said,
agree with you, Cameron. Yeah, our hearts hurt even despite what's happening outside. That's compassion. And that is something that you have to give yourself, number one, to acknowledge for yourself, and number two, to give yourself time and space to process because it's completely understandable that it's hurtful. And so, yeah, that's kind of just what I was saying is like give yourself that space to like process that emotion because it, especially as a sensitive person, you're taking in lots of energetic, like taking in lots of energy and lots of information all the time just through technology and media. It's a lot for the system to take on. That's yeah, I'm gonna stop there.
Amazing. All right, thank you for that. I love that those specific cards came out around staying focused. And what was the other one? What were the other two that came out?
There was Golden Path and Nothing has gone wrong, but there's one more message I forgot to mention, and it's just that part of why you really want to give yourself this time is because it does seem like things from your past that, you know, like opportunities that didn't get to manifest or projects that you put on the back burner, things could be coming back to the forefront for you to actually ground into existence that maybe you put on a shelf or thought it wasn't meant to be. Now could be the time for it to be. And so, um, yeah, definitely be gentle with yourself because you never know when, you know, your next miracle is around the corner or the next opportunity or the next light breath or just you never know. Uh-oh.
Wholeheartedly agree. Hang on, my light went sideways because I put my foot on the cord. This is new for me, guys. Thanks for your patience. Okay, we've got it back. I love that. And I feel like that is one of the things that I really try to reinforce here on this channel that no matter what the transits are doing, your relationship with the divine, whether you call it God, Holy Spirit, Allah, your higher self, your spirit guides, your relationship with the divine has been guiding you this whole time. And so seeing that golden thread card come out was just such reaffirmation that we're not in the wrong place at the wrong time, doing the wrong thing. Same with that other card that spoke about nothing's gone wrong because we live in such a hyper polarized world right now that's advancing technologically more rapidly than it ever has in my lifetime. It can feel like we're missing something. It can feel like something's gone wrong. It can feel like our lives are off track very easily. And so, one of the things that it was really important for me to share in terms of channeled messages as I sunk into looking at the transits of the coming year, and this was something that I also saw last year when I saw Pluto changing signs into Aquarius, when I saw Uranus moving into Gemini, when I saw Neptune and Saturn jumping into Aries, it became very evident because for all of them to change at the same time, that's rare. They move so slowly. These are the life-changing planets. When these ones move in the sky, this is the equivalent. These are the ones that bring, births, marriages, deaths, moves, relocations, industry changes, continent changes, identity changes of massive proportion. If the moon or Venus were going to do that, we would be changing these sorts of things every 2 days, every 3 weeks if it was Mercury, every 40 days if it was Venus. And thank God we're not changing that fast. But those are the planets that people talk about so much. But it's these, what we as astrologers call the generational planets that mark the mindset, the movement, the behaviors of a generation. When they switch signs, consciousness shifts. And not only does consciousness shift, but so too does your entire life stream. And so 2025 was a year of marked and definitive. We'll all look back at 2025 and say, that was pre 2025. This is post 2025 when we look at our live streams. And many of you have spoken to me about this in our readings, that there has been this push, this pull, carrot and stick. Gotta change, gotta shift, gotta move, can't stay where I'm at in my life. Something has to give. And many of you can feel this in the atmosphere, this sense of something has to give. And it's a function of these planets taking us into our next moment in collective consciousness. And for them to all change simultaneously this way, we're collectively moving into our next state of awareness and consciousness. Now, I don't know exactly what that's going to look like. However, I am clear about what the influences are provoking. So if we take these one by one, Pluto moving into Aquarius, we know Pluto represents power. And for Pluto to move into Aquarius, the sign of the people, groups, collectives, unions, Pluto moving into Aquarius is going to facilitate a restoration of power to the little people, people like you and me, people who don't run multi-billion dollar conglomerates, people who don't dictate to countries about what their constituents can and can't do, people who come together, who decide this is what's right for me and how I want to live. And as such, this is what I intend to do. With Pluto, the planet that specifically deals with power, moving into the sign of groups and collectives and people, we are arriving at a moment for the first time anyone here on Earth has seen, because it takes 248 years to get around the wheel. This is the first time where we're getting the opportunity to see what will it be like when the people recognize their true power when it comes to their lives and the way they get to live. And so the first channeled message I have for you guys around this that I have been seeing is, and friends of mine and I have talked about this, it seems like things are getting worse. It seems like more power is consolidating at the top. It seems like there's more governments, more corporations dictating what we can and can't do with our lives. This is going to show itself. There's a French phrase that I will not attempt to butcher, although I love French, it's my second language. But it basically says it's necessary to pull back in order to pounce forward. It's a bit like a slingshot, if you will. And if any of you were here when I interviewed Pamela Osley last year, there may have been reference to that in that interview. We certainly talked about it post-interview. But that's what I'm seeing here. This sort of conglomeration of power, according to the last sign, Capricorn, which was all about corporations and governments, etc. That congealing of power inside of that sign, what we're seeing now as Pluto just dips toes into Aquarius, is a very loud clinging and holding on to the way it was by the powers that be. So it's almost as if there's an awareness that people have more power than they have been exercising. And in order for us to sustain and retain control, it's necessary for us to exercise a very heavy hand. But the more people like you and me and ASO come together and really talk about where we have impact and influence in our individual lives and communities and stand up and make choices for ourselves, this is who I am and this is how I want to live. Aquarius also represents the unique, it represents the uncanny, it represents the energy of the quantum and things we've never seen before, the new, the next. The more we lean into that for ourselves, the more space there is for other people to have that for themselves too. And so this is your encouragement to lean into that personally. We're going to continue to see that movement over the next 20 years with Pluto in Aquarius. The next piece of this would be that Saturn and Neptune in Aries. The two of them constitute structure and dissolution together, washing out to sea and restoration to integrity simultaneously. Aries is that sign of the self. It's the sign of our personal ambition. It's the sign of taking action. It's a sign of spring and moving forward. And so, with these two stepping into Aries at the same time, Saturn is placing a demand on us personally. Get your life together. Like, what are you doing out here? Why are you still acting in ways that just don't work for you? Why are you still doing this thing when you know it undermines you? Why are you still interacting with these people when you know they don't rock with you like that? Saturn is creating this separation energy from all that undermines our sovereignty, our wholeness. And I am so here for it because there have been so many patterns that I looked at within myself that I'm like, man, I wish I didn't do that. Man, I wish I wasn't like that. But I'm feeling the Saturnian energy step into Aries and place a demand on me to be more me than I've ever been. And you're probably feeling that too. It was funny the other day, I was scrolling on TikTok and I saw someone post something that said, like, if I get any whiff of anything funny from you, I don't mess with you. And mess was not the word they used. I'm sure you can fill in the blank. But it was the sense of like, I am so in the era of doing me that I can't afford mentally, spiritually, emotionally to be bothered with anything that anyone else needs from me if it doesn't align with what I need from me first. And so, this 2.5 years of Saturn through Aries is placing that sort of demand on us to come into congruence with who we really are. Neptune, anything that Saturn separates us from, Neptune's going to come behind and wash it away. So Saturn will do the separation, Neptune will make sure it never comes back. There's also with Neptune heightened spirituality, spiritual evolution, heightened intuition. And intuition is such a personalized experience. The way I experience my intuition is clairaudience and now clairvoyance. But ASO, you also have clairaudience, but I think you also might be clairsentience, like you feel things, do you not?
I mean, I get information from all of the clairs. It's just kind of like sometimes like if I'm less attached to my emotional body, I would say that probably like I would lean into clairvoyance more than I don't know. I just like I get information in all of the ways.
I'm curious if you're listening here in the chat or listening to the recording, you might have your own way of intuitively tuning in to what's unfolding around you. Drop it in the chat. We definitely would like to know because so many people have asked me, like, how do I get clairaudient like you? How can I hear things or how can I see things? And the reality is, all gifts are available to all people. For some, it is easier to access certain gifts other than more than others. And your attunement to what works for you doesn't have to be what works for me. Clairaudience is cute, but so too is being able to have such a rich relationship with the third dimension that anytime I ask for a message, I get one that day. Some of you have that kind of relationship with your intuition where the third dimension speaks to you, your body speaks to you. I don't necessarily have that. Relish your journey here. It's going to be personal. I saw something, I saw you want to say something. What was it?
Well, I guess it was just that like a lot of things, I guess it's not conscious. Like I don't think about how I need to sneeze, I just sneeze. Like it's just kind of one of those things that's inherent. I would say the biggest and most important aspect is not the process, but rather it's trust and discernment. Trust and discernment are the two things because like, listen, as a medium, you have things that'll come up and start talking to you. And I'm so discerning. There are times that my guides don't get through. Like I'll tell you what, like a lot of times I'm like, kitchen's closed, don't talk to me. I don't want to. But I would say for sure, like the only limitations that I can think of would be like, for example, if you're the type of person who cannot visualize things. Clairvoyance is probably going to be really hard for you if you have more of just an internal dialogue brain. But if you have a visual brain and not an internal dialogue brain, claircognizance, I think it would probably be claircognizance and not clairaudience. One of those might not be for you. I would say I'm not very clairaudient. Like I would say I hear things sometimes, I get songs, but other than that, I would say maybe that would be like my weakest of all of them. And then I would say as well, I probably miss out on a lot of clairsentient information if I'm like particularly anxious or detached from my body. I'm not feeling that in the same way. So I'm not getting, so there might be information that I'm just not even getting because I'm not even thinking to tune into it. So, and I guess that also brings in a point too, is that, using your intuition when maybe you're particularly stressed out or you're not in a very healthy place psychologically, that's probably not the time to be using your intuition. And so I will say that there are times where I pretty much drop off the face of the earth, and that's because I got to take care of myself. And I can't do what I do unless I'm all right. So, yeah.
Likewise. Likewise. It's funny because just earlier, like last week, a girlfriend of mine checked in with me because I haven't been in the group chat and she's like, "You okay?" And I'm like, "Girl, I'm working like okay, the exact phrase I said was I'm working the black off my ass, but I digress. Like I am so busy right now, I do not have time to kiki. However, I will come back as soon as I'm done, but I have to shut out the noise so that what I'm bringing forth into the world is my filter isn't clogged up with other people's thoughts, other people's energies, other people's perspectives. Like I just need to be able to hear what's happening in here. And so that's one of both you and I's greatest tools is being able to intentionally be like, just no to outside input, outside influence. You and I deploy that one quite a bit. Likewise, my guides sometimes are like, ma'am, we've been trying to tell you something for like 3 months now. Like, are you going to check in or what?
Yeah,
Um,
no, like literally you bringing up my guide yesterday, and I'm like, I haven't talked to him in like a year.
yeah, it's like that sometimes when you're really trying to just stay sovereign for yourself and needing to, in a moment of such high change in the third dimension needing to be able to keep your feet on the ground, your rent or your mortgage paid, your car note and your car in your possession. Like it takes a little bit of sometimes not always being in the ethers in order to be able to sustain the kind of stuff that you and I do. And for you guys, likewise, I'm sure you guys experience the same thing where it's like, okay, my life is demanding I pay attention. And so that's that combination of Saturn and Neptune. They're, as we continue to move forward, Saturn is going to continue to remove things that block us from being us. Neptune is going to continue to say, expand your consciousness, become, connect more with spirit, connect more with your own spirit. See yourself from the higher spiritual dimensions. And so some of you are probably already feeling that as Neptune entered Aries earlier this year. You may have felt the sensation of dreams becoming intense or super surreal, the experience of it being hard to nail down specific actions when you want to take them, the experience of feeling a little bit more open, a little more boundaryless when it comes to your sensitivity to other people and environments that you're in. If you've experienced any of that, let me know. Let us know in the chat. We'd be curious. And then lastly, we do see Uranus moving into Gemini. This is the one I'm most excited about because I think this is where we're going to see both of the two things I've already said, the three things, consciousness expansion, consciousness raising. But with Uranus moving into Gemini, it is an absolute expansion of consciousness. So Gemini is our sign that deals with communication and conscious awareness. But Uranus is our planet that deals with the quantum computing, quantum consciousness, quantum movement, skipping steps, non-linear. This is why people perceive Uranian energy as chaos and chaotic. It's not actually chaos, it's just non-linear. So we can't follow the thread from A to B to C to D because it's skipping steps and transferring across dimensions. Uranian energy situated inside of our sign of consciousness and communication will radically transform the way that we communicate and the way our consciousness works. It does not surprise me that at the entree of Uranus and Gemini this year, a podcast dropped called The Telepathy Tapes. Shout out to you if you put that together. I don't know who that woman is, but man, you were in your bag with that. It's a really good, really excellent series. I strongly recommend. But this sort of capacity to move beyond just normal verbal communication and actually have like consciousness to consciousness communication without words will continue to be heightened. And I think that's one of the reasons why you and I have like stepped into the vibe the way we have. Like literally even today, getting ready for this, like we ended up doing our hair at the same time, showering at the same time, doing our makeup at the same time. And it wasn't planned. We were not planned
Yeah.
or be on the same schedule. But we were literally running in tandem together the entire day. And you're going to find things like this unfolding in your friend group, in your family group, with your coworkers. And this sort of intuitive intelligence, so I'm going to call it I rather than AI. This sort of intuitive intelligence is a big piece of what Uranus and Gemini is going to bring to the table, and it's going to make it easier to know where you fit, who your people are, especially in work environments. Like if you can't sync up intuitively with people, that's going to stick out like a sore thumb. Where you can, it's going to accelerate results in your social environments, your intuition is like the things that you would know kind of intuitively, they're going to start to become very conscious for you. You're going to start to be able to tap into other people's consciousness without even trying. And so this is why it's so important to be able to hear and, as ASO said, trust what you're picking up because
Well,
especially
discern.
well,
Discern.
we gonna get to that. We're gonna get to discern, but it's really critical to be able to know and hear and be have a way to discern fact from fiction, truth from lies, hoax from reality in a moment like this, because that sign of Gemini, the duality, we will be presented with both and the light may masquerade as shadow, the shadow may masquerade as light, and the way you're going to be able to know is discernment with your intuition. And so having tools that facilitate your ability to do that and having that trust in yourself so that you're capable of being able to know without necessarily getting a lot of external validation, that's going to be the key here. Of course, we're going to see changes in journalism and news reporting. We've already seen a lot of that as Uranus got close to Gemini. We'll also see perhaps some new interpretations of languages, really coming to clarity about what some of the ancient languages are actually saying as they're written. Cuneiform, Sanskrit, things that we haven't fully cracked the code on. We will get enlightenment on these things as Uranus continues to move through Gemini. So, um, and then I think there was one other thing. I have this note over here about Uranus and Gemini. It's really important. I want to share it with you. Let me get it. Um, Here it is. Yeah, new understandings for written and spoken history as well. Changes in consciousness, as I mentioned. Oh, contact. Many of you are curious about other dimensions and other beings from other dimensions. We will see a rise in contact as we move through the Uranus and Gemini years and a deeper ability to understand what they're communicating to us and a more direct ability to communicate with them. If any of you guys are familiar with the work of Dr. Stephen Greer, check out his documentary about contact of the fifth kind. It is extraordinary about empowering you if contact is something you're interested in to go get it. Like don't wait. Like don't wait for disclosure. Go get your contact. If you're there, if your consciousness is there, you don't need a gatekeeper. You just need to trust. Um, New languages can arise here and yeah. That's what I have for Uranus and Gemini and some personal notes just for me.
I
But
love it.
all of this is kind of where I'm seeing humanity go. When I look at the astrology, one of the number one thing I want to leave you with in terms of these messages and how these things will impact us, humanity's consciousness is rising. It's not sinking. I know there's this belief in the zeitgeist, oh, like with AI, we're all getting dumber, or schools aren't teaching what they need to, and students aren't graduating as educated as they used to. What's actually happening, if you look at the astrology, is an evolution in consciousness that is going to take us light years beyond everything that existed before 2025. And so it's an exciting time to be alive on the planet. It's an exciting time to be a way shower on the planet. It's just a matter of getting to a place where you can trust that things are getting better. And that will be the deciding factor when it comes to your timeline. So if you have any questions about that, feel free to drop them in the chat. We're going to get to Q&A shortly here. But I wanted to make sure that I shared these things with you as a way of making sure that even though there's so much change, even though there's so much human suffering, we are seeing it. There is the things in front of us are so much better than what has been behind us. But in order to get that, participation is not optional, it's mandatory. Yeah. Okay.
Mic drop.
Okay. Um, I mentioned the slingshot. I mentioned heightened sensitivity. Was there anything else you wanted to add here from our list of things, channeled stuff we wanted to talk about? I hope you
I
do.
feel like you basically said everything that I would have said. I guess like, just maybe the only thing that I would add is part of why things seem like they're going wrong is because a lot of things that flew under the radar in the past just being acceptable. It's that it's like debt. Like at some point, you're going to hit a ceiling. At some point, it's not going to be sustainable. At some point, you're not going to be able to keep taking out credit cards. Like at some point, there's going to be, which I think credit cards are a great example of that. But like, yeah, yeah, things are really bad because they've been really bad for a long time. And as we change and as we shift to a more compassionate place in life, like yeah, the dehumanizing systems are gonna scream as they die. Yeah, things scream as they die. I like that quote.
Yeah, that's kind of the nature of it. So if you have questions, drop your Qs here. We are coming to the Q&A portion shortly. We'd love to expand and illuminate on anything that we've shared so far. But yeah, thanks all for being here. Definitely hit that like button, and we're gonna keep moving forward. There's some reasons why it's super hard to hear your intuition in moments like this. And you already know a lot of them, so we're going to kind of just give you some headlines. But I think it's important to talk about some of the distractions, just to acknowledge that they're there, not to validate their power over us, but to acknowledge that, because once we can name it and see it, we're actually better able to move it out of our space. My meditation teacher tells me. So, and I've definitely seen that to be true. if it's in a blind spot, it's not actionable. But if it's in front of you, you can actually choose how you engage with the thing or disengage altogether. So, one of the reasons it can be so hard to hear our intuition and make decisions in this kind of atmosphere is because you already know we're being actively and consistently gaslit. Um, and those who have gaslit us, they're doing it to keep their power. Whether it's governments, big pharma, big agra, whatever big, you're consciously aware of, like telling stories to you to get you to think certain ways. We all have various versions of them vying for control of our pocketbooks and our mind. They're consistently telling us you can't trust yourself, you can't trust your neighbor, you can't trust your family member, and you can't trust your friend. And that is one of the things that, as I've been looking at this energy, is some of the shadow side of some of this energy of Pluto leaving Capricorn, of Uranus jumping into Gemini. It's this energy of second guessing everything and wanting to outsource um, what's true for you, especially when it comes to dealing with the people around you, not feeling like you can trust the humanity of the people around you. One of the most inspiring things I found during 2020 was how, at least at the beginning of the pandemic, as it hit the United States, was how readily people checked on their neighbors, how many people surrounded their hospital parking lots to cheer for their nurses and their doctors who were on the front lines. How many, like after we were all inside, how many of the animals like decided to come out and grace the streets and like take back Mother Earth? And it was like immediate, like within 90 days, they were like, oh, the humans are inside. Yo, let's go.
It
It was so amazing.
was.
So there is this way that if we stay connected to one another and unplug from the messages that say how, like, that they are the problem, and you fill in the blank with the they that the powers that be are currently fomenting you to be against, the immigrants, the black people, the white people, the women who want too many rights, the women who want to take us back to where we had no rights, the men, the toxic men, the fembots, the femboys, like the gay people, the trans people, everyone's a problem these days.
Hmm.
You can just reconnect to the fact that we're all human beings, right? And that as human beings, we all want the same things. We all want to live. And as ASO's guidance provided, God doesn't make mistakes. There's no mistakes in your beingness or in the beingness of your family members or in the beingness of people you don't understand. God didn't make a mistake in bringing them here. If we can get back to that fundamental trust, that's one of the key things we can do to restore our connection to our intuition right now. Um, you want to talk about why our intuition isn't our loudest voice? I feel like I've been talking a long time.
I mean, I guess I say all the time, like anxiety screams, intuition whispers. Um, but I think, when you talk about intuition being silent, that's one reason why it's so important to ground and center and get to a quiet place. Because otherwise, you're going to hear, especially if you're trying to feel into something you have an emotional charge around, you're probably going to hear your fear or what you're afraid of happening so much so that it's probably going to be hard to even try and listen to what your intuition is saying because you're like, well, it's hard to parse what something is when you have an attachment to it. But even when you don't have an attachment to it, sometimes you're tapping into your intuition and you have no clue what's going on. I mean, I think like I don't know about UK, but I know for me in my readings, like there are times where I'm like, yo, I don't know what's going on. And then they're like, yeah, we don't know what's going on either. So it's like, okay, I guess we're just not meant to know what's going on. And like sometimes that's the hit and that's the point. I think one of the things about intuition, despite it being more quiet, is that when it needs you to know something, it will start raising its voice and it will start getting louder and louder and it will recruit the outside world to start validating it. And it could literally be screaming in your ear. And then and you may not hear it. And then you find something happens that proves your intuition right, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I see how it was trying to communicate to me that whole time. I will say, like, the one thing that I like that I like and understand about intuition now is that if it needs to get your information, if it needs to tell you something, it's gonna stop at nothing to do that. And you will learn and grow from that a lot.
Absolutely. Yeah. Um, it's interesting because I wanted to share something a little personal to me that I don't, often talk about. Some of you guys who are on my newsletter or, who have been with me for a while, some of these things. But in my family, let's just say I'm off the beaten path. I'm off of the track that everyone else has laid down. My grandfather was a pastor. My father's a minister. I come from very conservative Christian family background. And I love them to pieces. I was just never that way. I grew up singing in the church choir, going to church every Sunday with my mom, very religious environment. But when I would read the Bible, I always knew that there was something missing, more to it, things that weren't being shared from the pulpit in the way that I was experiencing them in my daily walk with God and my daily walk with the divine. And so 2025 has been it's been a hard year for me. I'm not gonna lie. Um, in August, I just came back from the fourth death in my family this year, and the year's not even over. Um, and it really hit home because this particular family member is also like me, who departed, just different, different from the way, the family setup is set up. And years ago, as I was starting the channel, somebody had told me that I really trust, like, okay, you should really come out to your family. You should really come out to your family. You should really come out to your family. And I ignored it because I was like, oh, I don't want to. I've already come out to them once before when I was dating women, and that went horribly. I don't want to revisit that experience all over again with astrology. Like that, the pain of it wasn't that I needed their approval. It was that I wanted to belong. And the pain of not belonging to the people that you come from was just such a soul break for me when I went through that earlier in my life that I just wasn't willing to consider it until I started to realize that I have younger generations coming up behind me who are also off the path, who are also just not what the family program insists upon, and recognizing that they too have a level of suffering and pain around that not belongingness. It became really evident to me this year, okay, I'm ready. Like, I can't lose any more family members because they feel different, because they don't feel like they have a place, because they don't feel like they're accepted here, like they can't belong here, um, because they can belong with me. And so when it came to listening to my own intuition around that, I do wish I had listened to that very quiet inner voice sooner. I had a lot of fear around it because I didn't want to experience the not belonging all over again. But it became evident this year that it matters more to me to belong to me and to have a safe place in my family structure for the others to feel like they have a place to belong, um, than to protect myself from not belonging. So that's one of the reasons for the face reveal today. Um, and the other reason has to do with like just getting into a place where I'm super solid about my psychic protection at this point. Like I'm very, very clear about how I'm just not subject to psychic attack in the way that I once felt like I was. So, here we are. Here we are. So, uh, that thing around fear overriding your intuition is one of the things that I know as I'm leaving this earth, I am going to really regret. Um, and it's one of the things that in this season of such hyper change with so much information flying at you and so much dictation about who you're supposed to be, um, more than anything, with my work, I want to empower you to be able to honor your intuition when it comes to you, rather than being dictated to you by the stars. I really want to give you a way to use the stars to validate what you already know, what you and God already decided on is your right path in this lifetime, regardless of who you don't belong to anymore, regardless of what your government says, the neighborhood you grew up in, and those kids, what they think, regardless of, what your family might think or the people you graduated school might think. I really want to leave you empowered to hear your own voice. And so, um, fear is one of the things that can really dampen our ability to hear our intuition. And uh, just want to encourage you to find a way to hear anyway. Anything you
That's
want to
so
add to that?
beautiful. We love you, Kay. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I guess there have been some really great questions. I guess like I feel like what you said was very beautiful. I don't think there's anything that I could uh what she said. Eloquent. Um, somebody asked, how do you try to relate your guidance to people who haven't started this spiritual journey? I find that my advice gets scoffed at, like it's nuts to let go this much or stay present. And I would say is I would not give any guidance to anyone who doesn't ask for it, and I would save your guidance for people who can actually get it.
Yeah.
Because there are people that will not live a spiritual life in this lifetime, and that's fine. That's their path, that's their journey. But they could definitely cause you to doubt yours if you're sharing with them something that they are not, that they wouldn't receive in a caring way. You know, people can be very flippant and callous when it comes to spiritual stuff. And it's already hard when you're on that journey to receive that. So I would just give yourself permission to not feel like you have to give them anything, prove anything. You have nothing to prove. And in fact, I think it'll make your journey easier if you don't feel like you have to share that stuff because you won't have that pressure, people looking at you, like wanting to see your philosophy fail. I just, you know, and it's negativity, it's misery, it's all that jazz. But I would save your beautiful guidance for those who get where you're coming from. And because to be awake spiritually, I think you can't really understand it until you've been through it. Like to be spiritual in general, to have that spiritual connection, it goes beyond words, and it has to be truly felt and understood. um yeah.
What ASO said, I got nothing to add. That was tea. So one of the things that I want to give you guys is a way to just understand and give you clarity about where you're at with relationship to your own hearing, your own intuition, your own capacity to live in your own truth. So if you would, hands off keyboard for just a second, and invite you to close your eyes. And I'm just going to make the screen dark for a second. I'm going to stop camera. And ASO, you can do the same. And if you would just close your eyes for a moment and just take a deep breath. There's a lot of information. Hopefully, a lot of it's validating for you personally. But just take a deep breath with me. There's been a lot of change that's happened in your life this year that you can point to in the third dimension. Just let your mind run over some of those changes now. You are not the same person who walked into 2025 on January 1st. You are living a different life now. And now, if you would turn your attention inward, there's a lot of change that you personally would like to bring from the inside to the outside. I want you to call to mind some of those things now. Maybe it's a different job, going to school, being of service in a new way, being in a different relationship, being in a different body or in a different relationship with your body. And now I want you to imagine if no one discouraged you and no one judged you, and no one took anything away from you. What would your life be like if those inside changes could be experienced on the outside? Where would you live? What would you do every day for work? Who would you wake up next to? What would you wear? And now I would invite you to imagine what it would be like to be confident to wake up tomorrow morning clear about the first step, knowing for sure, beyond the shadow of a doubt, what you absolutely must do to bring that life into fruition. No confusion, no doubt, no uncertainty, just clear, calm confidence. Okay, you can open your eyes now. That certainty makes a huge difference. Knowing for sure what you want, why you want it, and that you can absolutely have it. That is the gift of being able to trust and hear your intuition. And you just got a taste of that right now. One of the phrases I found myself saying most often as we came into 2025 to my clients is, it's not that you're confused, it's that you don't like your answer. You know what you want, you know what you need to do. You just don't like that it's going to cost what it costs. So confusion seems easier as a state to live in instead of the assuredness that you're on the right track. So I'm going to reiterate. Go ahead. What you got?
Well, I was just gonna like add on to that because a noise angel, I think, asked ways to discern between wishful thinking and intuition. And when you receive truly incredible messages, visions, like I feel like they're solid, but that's the thing. You feel like they're solid. But the wishful thinking is your doubt that you can have what the universe is so loudly saying is yours.
It wouldn't have
That's
come to you if it wasn't yours. It wouldn't have landed in
Mhm.
your brain if it wasn't yours.
Stop describing what that experience is as wishful thinking and start describing it as doubt and fear that you can't have it. And tell that shit to go where the sun don't shine.
To the left, to the left. So to help you with that, ASO and I have gotten ourselves together to prepare for you a special experience that we want to invite you into that can help you overcome doubt and fear when it comes to listening to your intuition. We have teamed up to create a course called Cards and Stars, and it is a major arcana and astrology course for beginners, hosted by yours truly, the two of us. The main reason we created this course is because we saw an abundance of people turning to us to solve problems that, or to answer questions that only your higher self and your relationship with the divine as you know it can answer. But when there is this noise between you and your inner knowing, it can be helpful to have an undeniable, unmistakable tool that's connected to the quantum field and all that is, and that is the tarot. And especially helpful when the tarot is grounded and backed by the astrology. It helps to narrow the interpretation and the focus so that you know when you're seeing things like the Lover's card, you understand what it's trying to tell you. It's in some spreads, it might be talking about coming together with someone, but in other spreads, it really is speaking about making decisions from a place of freedom. And so, knowing when you have this astrological backing to the tarot cards, it can actually really help you get that validation you need for yourself without having to buy a reading from me or buy the extended from ASO or wait for us to open up readings. You have the ability to tune in for yourself right now. And that's why we built Stars and Cards, because we wanted to put that power. What we do, you can have it for you. We wanted to put that power in your hands. So it is an 8-week major arcana and tarot course that's astrology grounded. All classes are pre-recorded. They start releasing on October 6th, so you need to sign up now because it's coming up really soon. They are pre-recorded classes and we broke them down. We'll be doing 2 to 3 different cards per class. And then every single week, we're going to get together with you to answer questions in real time. Their questions will have office hours from 2 to 4 p.m. every Friday while the course is in session. And then we'll have one integration week on October 27th. We have 2 double release weeks where we'll release 2 classes at the same time. The last one, December 1st. And then the last one before the integration week, October 20th. And then, of course, we'll be taking the Thanksgiving holiday week off, the US Thanksgiving holiday week, that final week of November. Class starts soon. We're going to close enrollment on October 1st. So that's 13-ish days from the date of this live recording. Could be 12, could be 10, could be 9. This time is moving really fast. But what you're going to get from us, in addition to the 8 pre-recorded classes and the 6 live office hour sessions, is a private member area where you can share your spreads, get reads, swap reads with your classmates, deepen and sharpen your intuition as you hear and listen and learn with them. You're going to get a 40+ page digital workbook from us, which we're really excited to put in your hands. It's more like a playbook rather than a workbook because we'll be inviting you to make your personal notes, make what we teach you personalized. For some people, a white feather means big change coming. For other people, a white feather means you're divinely protected and guided. As you move through each week of the course, we're going to invite you to build your own relationship with the symbology of the cards and the divine, so that if you're ever in heightened fear, ambiguity, and uncertainty, you know when certain cards come out, what they mean for you personally. We'll also be giving you some optional weekly practice and not homework, but play work so that you have the opportunity to experience for yourself the magic of what it is to do what we do for you. You don't have to wait for us. We want you to be empowered in all of this noise to hear for yourself what your higher self is saying to you. Okay. On this page, you'll see a little bit of information about us, but we encourage you to take a look at the frequently asked questions in particular. You will get lifetime access. That tends to be the question that most people have is how long do I have access? You're going to have lifetime access. So if you can't participate now, you can always re-listen later. And you don't need to know any tarot or any astrology to join. We're going to walk you through it. We have a section here on materials. so that you know what deck or what astrology stuff we're going to be using. Our emphasis will be on free and low cost resources to help you move through the course. And in your orientation guide, you'll find where we have provided links to those so that if you want to participate, but it's like, yeah, I have the 222 to join, that's all I have. We'll hook you up with where you can find some low cost to free resources online to get a copy of your astrological chart, to get digital apps for tarot. Okay. We have built this in such a way that is a lot of fun for us. It's a vibe when we hang out. If you haven't already noticed, and we want to invite you to our party. We think that would be a fun way to close the year, to share with you some of the best of what we do and put the best of what we do directly into your hands instead of, trying to get you to, I don't know, like buy something that makes you more dependent on us. We want to give you an investment into something that's going to make you more independent and self-reliant as we move into the chaos and the crazy that's coming 2026 and beyond. So it's 222 to join. We invite you to join us now. Class starts on October 6th, but doors close on the 1st. And so we really want to get you situated and in and ready to go before then. Okay. Anything you want to add about cards and stars
I
before we?
guess the one thing that I want to add in like as a perk is for me, I mean, I know we're on Kay's channel, so you guys are probably very well versed in astrology and things like that, especially if you've taken her amazing classes. But for me, as a tarot reader, astrology is something that I'm still learning all the time. And one of the things that I struggle with in astrology is just the sheer density of information that's available. And not only remembering that, but then also remembering that well enough to then also go in and understand how they actually interact with each other and how that manifests and how that changes. And one of the really cool things that happened while we were developing the course is that we kind of realized, a lot of the things that were traditionally assigned to, like, for example, in a tarot card saying, oh, this is connected to Taurus didn't always make the most sense. And so in that process, Kay went through and found, not only the traditional connections, but the ones that make more sense. And that's actually helpful in terms of learning and understanding the planets and the signs because you're getting because like learning these energies through tarot cards gives you the understanding of the nuances of these big topics like the sign of Aries, the planet of Pluto, where you can remember, oh, these three cards fit are connected to this planet. Okay, these cards mean this. So this planet has all of these different meanings here. And I might have forgotten two of them if I didn't have, say, maybe like the visual of a card there. So I guess like one of the benefits of learning this way is you're getting a greater um, container of understanding for lots of different concepts and making connections so that if you are doing different disciplines, you can take from the other discipline understanding that you bring to the one you're more familiar with,
I love that. And it's really perfect for visual learners as well. Because
which
if
I am.
right? If you're the kind of person that needs like visual cues to lock something in, this is going to really solidify that for you. But one of the things I think, because we both kind of started with tarot and then I went into astrology, one of the things that I think you're going to find most helpful about this course is that question that somebody had asked, like, how do I know when I'm just seeing what I want to see versus, I'm seeing what, my guides are really trying to tell me or show me. The reality the filter is never not there. You're always going to be walking through life with your filter, but you can get better and better and better at turning the volume down on your filter so that you're able to hear even challenging or difficult messages as you interact with the more literal meanings of the cards pertaining to the astrology, because the astrology keeps you from wandering and projecting onto the cards what you want to see. It keeps what you're seeing far more grounded. And so, yeah, we wanted to give you this opportunity to learn with us, and take this tool with you into 2026 as a way of empowering you, because there's just so much more change to come. It's a lot. Um, we wanted to empower you to be able to, even when your nervous system is dysregulated, even when you're afraid, like I was all these years, to be able to know the right thing to do at the right time so that you don't fall behind on your path. Because it's one of the things that I've seen a lot of people bring up in session with me is I feel behind in life. I feel like I'm off track. And I'll look at the astrology, the transit, and I'll be like, yeah, well, there was this window that opened up for this thing 2 years ago. And they'll say to me, yeah, okay, you're right. 2 years ago, I did kind of get this nudge. And I'll say, well, why didn't you act on it? And invariably, the answer is fear, uncertainty, or uh, and some derivative of those, whether it's fear of loss of belonging, like I had, or fear of loss of material things and security, or uncertainty because I've heard the message, but it just seems so far to the left of where I'm at. How could I trust that if it's non-linear? Sometimes your higher self is ready to move at the quantum level, but in order to be able to say yes, it's imperative that you have that discernment in your own trust to know for sure if now is the time and the move to make. And that's what Cards and Stars is going to give you, is that ability to tap in through the visual cues to your higher power, your higher self's ability to communicate directly with you. So you're not wandering in circles, waiting or guessing. So we invite you to join now. We're going to do some Q&A and then we're going to wrap up.
Yeah.
So are there any other questions in the chat that you're really drawn to?
Like me? Or
Yeah,
because
you.
I thought we answered them.
Oh, did we answer all the
Yeah, I think we
questions
did.
in
I
the
think
chat?
we did. I could be wrong though. I could totally be wrong. I think there's just a lot of general consensus that, it's very hard to trust ourselves and like I like what Princess Fairyfly said. I learned that this month words fall on dead ears when there's a huge gap in frequency. Yeah, I like that. I think that's so true. And like it's not necessarily like I don't know, like I think that there's just a lot of things where it's like and I think that we all experience that where our intuition will tell us something over and over and over and over again. And then we'll get frustrated because it keeps telling us the same thing. And it's like, yeah, it's because it's what you're supposed to do and it's not computing. And then if finally does, and you're like, oh, that's why you were telling me that. That's why, like, and it's like, yeah, that's why I didn't change what I was saying because then I would be lying to you and you wouldn't trust me. Like, it's your intuitions and tell you what you need to hear. And it's probably going to be simple and straightforward.
I think I saw a question earlier too. Somebody had asked, it's no longer available for me to see, it's too far up. Someone had asked, how do you hear your guides? I can't remember who had asked it. How do you hear your guides? And I would say it's interesting because I went through an interesting process with it. First of all, I do think I was predisposed. I've always been auditorially very, very sensitive. It's very sensitive to sound, noise, that sort of thing, even before my clairaudience fully came on. And I didn't realize I was kind of like training my clairaudience. But one of the things I used to do was non-dominant hand writing. So I would ask a question in my journal um, with my dominant hand, and then I would write whatever came to me with my non-dominant hand. And that was some of the beginning for me of really being able to tune in to information that didn't come in linear or traditional ways. And so you can try that. It may work for you. Like I said, I was predisposed. I had not hearing problems, but hypersensitivity auditorially, and I always have. Very sensitive to sound, always been sensitive to music, um, loud noises, that sort of thing. So, but that's me with the clairaudience in my process. One of the things we'll explore in Cards and Stars is how you can come into your own process that really allows you to find your own connection with your guides above and beyond anything I might say, or above and beyond, just even what the cards say. You may find that there's a system of communication that you and they can have that doesn't have anything to do with your ears, and that might actually serve you better. So, Aso?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would say the same thing. Like, yeah, I definitely whatever senses are strongest for you and however you learn, that is likely going to be the strongest way for you to pick up information. That doesn't mean you can't learn others unless there is some sort of biological function that does not allow you to do that. But the one thing I would also say as well is know that your guides are always with you and that they love you and that you don't have to make conscious connection with them in order to still get the information they're trying to share with you. So just so you might be actively hearing them and connecting with them and you just don't realize it because it's either, because like we talked about, intuition is quiet. So, that process can be very seamless and so much so that you don't even realize it. But also completely understand the desire to get into more conscious connection. One thing I will say is, as a medium, learning mediumship, I think is one of the best things that you can do for yourself. That's not something I would do on your own. It's something that I would seek out guidance to do. But mediumship, I think, is probably the best way. Uh, Choosing a career path out of ego. Hasn't that all been all at some point? Um,
What do you got for that? I like that question.
Oh, sorry, I got distracted by a question exposed Taro asked. Okay. Uh, well, I guess first of all, you just said you were cooked. So you're not going to hear your intuition as long as you have that belief. Because you got to take a step back and get into a little bit of an open mind around, okay, we are not where we want to be, but we've already recognized we don't want to be here. So we're already a step further than we realized. And then I would take a step back and start praying. Ask for answers. Ask for the way to be shown. It might not be clear cut. You might not find a new perfect job next week. It might be a path and it might be a process. But ultimately, you're going to stay spinning on your wheels until you get centered enough into a place of, okay, this is where I am. Everything can change. I'm here for a reason. And even if you consciously made that choice, like to take that job out of ego, and you knew that at the time, there was still a reason for it. For whatever reason, that was your choice. Now you're ready to choose something different. And that starts with number one, giving yourself grace and not feeling like you're stuck forever because you're not. And number two, getting yourself to a place of not pressuring yourself to have it figured out tomorrow. Trust this as a bigger work in progress rather than something that you have to figure out now because you've already messed it up and you're already screwed. You're not cooked. You're not even prepped yet. Like you're fine. You're doing great. And yeah. I would say get yourself to a place where you can feel calm enough to start listening to your intuition and take the need to have it figured out off the table, and that'll make your life a lot easier. Even if you just get one piece of the puzzle, you're already making it.
Brilliance. From the mind of brilliance, y'all. Give my girl a like.
I
Oh my gosh.
don't know about that, girlfriend.
No, but for real, because that is the one thing I want to expand on there that you mentioned is what came out in your channeled messages with the card. Like you're not on the wrong path. Read it again. What did it say? Show the card.
The golden path. Oh, underneath. We got a lot of them. We got nothing has gone wrong. We have a golden path. We have a focus on what you want. That is yet to come. Like we got a lot going on. Like everything is fine. And I would be willing to bet too, even if you don't quite understand why you've been in that job, I bet a contact, a skill, something that you carry on and carry forward, even if it's just the awareness that taking a job out of ego is not for me, it's still served. Like you're doing great.
Yeah. Absolutely. I would say one of the biggest mindset adjustments that allowed me to hear my intuition even more clearly was to adopt a framework of zero make wrong. Zero make wrong. I'm not wrong. They're not wrong. I'm not doing it wrong. They're not doing it wrong. Nobody's wrong here. And so, from that vantage point, looking at your question here, when you ask, how can I manage the transition? I would say to expand on what ASO just said, the very first thing I would do is to lean into, okay, choosing this career path out of ego wasn't wrong. It was who I was and where I was at the moment, and it was what I needed for the time I needed it. And now I'm ready to do something different, and I give myself permission to do something different. So that would be that. Okay, Exposed Tarot asks, would you say it's okay to do a reading during your period luteal phase, or will your intuition be weak?
Can I
Mm,
answer this?
mm,
You read whenever you want to read. Nobody has ever commented on one of my videos and been like, girl, I can tell you're on your period because your reading sucks. Like, don't nobody know what's going on in my pants, okay? And listen, like the right time to read is the time that feels good for you. You know, when you're sober, when you're centered, when you are feeling ready to share. It doesn't matter where you're at. I mean, and that's the thing too with stuff like that is some people will say you're most intuitive on your period, and some people will say that, you shouldn't do anything when you're on your period. And what I say is that maybe you should just do what feels good. And if being on your period is a lot, maybe, your body might need time to rest and maybe it's not the time to channel. But if you feel fine and forget you're even on it, what's the problem? I would just say it's the same thing with being sick. You probably don't want to sit down and read if you don't feel well, if you can't focus, if you can't be open. But like if you just have a tiny cough, like, it's not going to stop anything. Like, yeah, there no. My answer is yeah, you're fine. Do what you want.
yeah, for real. I second that.
And don't give your reproductive cycle that much power over your actions.
Come on, if anything, they're empowering over our actions. Years
Yeah.
ago, I noticed that when estrogen dropped in the week before my period, and progesterone rose, the estrogen operates hormonally like an optimism bringer. And so when estrogen drops, the rose-colored glasses come off, and I'm able to see stuff for what it is. I used to call it truth-telling time, PMS, because when my PMS came, I would know for a fact, oh, I've been carrying this around all cycle and I'm pissed. It's time to set a boundary here. Got it. Okay. Like it was my opportunity to get the tea from my higher self. So listen, the one thing I would say is your body has never been your enemy. It's always been your ally, especially when it comes to your intuition, especially if you're walking around here with fluctuating hormones. So trust it, like trust your body in that way. Um, there are other questions here for us to ask. Okay.
Noise angel, I've had like 5 careers, it'll be fine. Yeah, that's the move. I
Mhm.
changed my major 8 times in college and now I don't use it. I
Yeah.
don't use my degree.
Yeah. Likewise, I'm
That's
like,
just life.
I'm like in a whole like career number three, four. I've had one for every decade I've been
This
alive.
is my second like real career, but I
Yeah.
worked a lot. I spent a lot of time in the service industry, let me tell you.
This is
I
still the
don't want to go
service
back.
energy industry. It's just a different type of service.
Yeah, it is still the service industry. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
It,
So I guess the
yeah,
question you need to answer for yourself is like, do you call out of work every time you're on the luteal phase? Like, don't do that.
yeah.
Like,
Well, I mean, like,
get
I
your
mean,
bag.
it might be true for someone though. Like maybe when they're on their period, like they're just not doing well and they need to take care of themselves. Because would say
Maybe.
one thing that we are guilty of as practitioners is pushing ourselves to unhealthy places in order to give to others.
That's true.
And that is something that I think we all are learning to get better at. And, don't push yourself if you don't feel well. And at the same time, if you feel fine, don't convince yourself that you shouldn't do something because somebody else said that. People say you shouldn't get into tarot unless you're gifted a tarot deck. If that were the case, I wouldn't be esoteric. I wouldn't be doing this. So, people say things. Sometimes we don't have to listen to them.
I'm with that. I'm with that. And on that beautiful note, I think that's all the questions here. We're going to wrap up, but we look forward to spending more time with you in Cards and Stars and just helping you reconnect to you, your intuition, your truth, your inner wisdom in a way that allows the cards to speak to you personally. Okay. Well, I'll see you for the next lunar update. If you're not subscribed to ASO Tarot yet, like make it happen. Like you can tell she's the real deal. She's tea. Like go get over there. If this is your first time meeting her, now you understand why I love her. And Aso, I want to thank you. Thank you so much for doing this course with me. Thank you so much for being on this live with me. And thank you for being my friend. I prayed for a friend like you for a few years before you came in, and I'm just so honored that we get to have what we have. And I'm very excited to bring more people into it.
Oh, I love you so much. Thank you for being my friend, and thank you for letting me be on your channel and letting me hang out with everyone and kiki and have fun. I'm so excited for Cards and Stars. I know you guys are not gonna regret getting this class. And like honestly, it's worth so much more than we're pricing it, and that's because we love y'all and want y'all to get what we have to give.
Yes.
So definitely, definitely, please come hang out with us. It's gonna be a great time. And yeah, I'll see you in Cards and Stars.
Yeah. We'll see you then. Thanks, everybody. Take great
Thanks,
care.
guys.
And bye for now. Okay.